Greetings, Ian from RTO here. Welcome to another live album ranking, which means it's Friday, where we do our live album rankings. And today, a whole day, well, 2 shows today, are all about progressive metal band from the UK, Threshold. First, we're going to look at their live albums, and then I shall be reviewing their brand new album called Dividing Lines. So on this show we'll concentrate on the live albums. As I said, they were formed in the late 80s. Had a very consistent lineup. They've only used 3 singers, of which they seem to rotate, except one of them sadly is no longer with us, and that's Mac, who sadly passed away with liver problem. So they've released 6 live albums. They are all good. There isn't a bad one amongst them. So we'll have a look at the 6. So coming in at number 6 is their first live album, and it's called Livedelica. It was released in 1995. It was recorded during the European tour. It's the only Threshold release to feature drummer Jay Michie. The album now, if you want it, you can't get it, but it is in a special edition of Psychedelic Tessin. So the band on this one is their current singer, believe it or not, Glyn Morgan. Carl Groom as ever on guitars. Nick Mixon, bass was John Geary, Richard West on the keyboards, and Jay Michie on the drums. On this one we've got Tension of Souls, which is a fantastic song. It's even better live. Sanity's End, which is absolutely fantastic. Innocent, Surface to Air is brilliant, and Paradox on here is belter. It is weird that you've got the most current singer singing on their first live album, but this is a solid live album. It's nice to hear some of them earlier tracks. I like playing this album. The only sort of criticism is they fade out some of the tracks after they're finished. You don't need to do that on a live album. You can sort of, if you're taking bits, you just edit it well so it doesn't fade out. We don't like fading out on live albums, no need for it, but it's still as brilliant as ever. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Yes, a 9 out of 10 for an album that comes in at the bottom of the pile. That's how good they are. Okay, coming at number 5, we have an album released in 2006. Now this is a live album called Surface to Stage, and it's a direct to fan release, and it was recorded in Switzerland on the Surface tour. The album's title is a double entendre on making reference to the Surface to Air from the Wounded Land album, apparently. So there we go. So the band at the time on here was vocals were Mac, Carl Groom on guitars, Nick Midson guitars, Richard West on the keyboards, Steve Anderson on the bass, and Johan James on the drums. Tracks we get on this one are Mission Profile, solid track, Ground Control, Into the Light, Echoes of Life, I love that track, Long Way Home, Opium, brilliant, Art of Reason, a classic, epic, Pressure, Flags and Footprints, and Light and Space, brilliant. The Art of Reason is fantastic. Lots of tracks obviously off Subservice and around that what they were doing at the time. An enjoyable album. Mac's on fire. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.1. Okay then, coming in at number 4, None of these direct-to-fan releases. Released in 2002, and it's Concert in Paris, and it was recorded on the Hypothetical tour in 2001. So it's the same lineup as the previous album. Mac, Carl Groom, Nick Midson, John... Oh, it's not John Geary's on bass on this one, I do apologise. Richard West and Johan James. Opens up with the brilliant Freaks. Love that track. Turn On, Tune In, brilliant. Long Way From Home's brilliant. Change, Devoted, Light and Space, the brilliant Ravages of Time, and another belt busting version of Paradox. Great live album. Mac on fire again. He is my favourite singer from the band. But the other thing about this band, that all the other two sing, you know, Damien and Glyn, they can all sing each other's songs perfectly, which is great. This is another little gem, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 9.2. Okay, coming in at number 3. This is an official live release. It's from 2014, and it's European Journey. This features Damien Wilson, who now is with Arena, Richard West, Johan James, Steve Anderson, and now we've got Pete Morton on guitar. Opens up with a brilliant version of Slipstream. Damien sings that brilliantly. You know, it's a Mac song, but Damien does it justice. I mean, I think by this time Mac had actually passed away. So, great little tribute to him. The Hours is brilliant. Liberty, Complaint and Dependency is a brilliant track. Ground Control, Long Way Home, Part of the Chaos, absolutely belting track. Nice to see some of the old tracks coming out of on this. Coda, one of the newer tracks, really good. Watchtower on the Moon, brilliant. And then a fantastic version of Pilot in the Sky of Dreams. Love that track. Lost in Your Memory, a brilliant version. Mission Profile, good to see that out again. The Box, Turn to Dust and Ashes. Again, a brilliant album. An album I love playing. I mean, Damien's voice is brilliant, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.3. Okay, then coming at number 2, we have the most current live album. It's released in 2018, and it's called 2017, recorded on the Legend of the Shires tour. So the band now, they're down to a 5-piece, and it's Glyn Morgan on lead and backing vocals, Carl Groom, Richard West, Steve Anderson and Johan James. Again, great version of Slipstream. Glyn sings it brilliantly. The Man Who Saw Through Time of the Legends of the Shires, brilliant, brilliant. Snowblind's brilliant. Innocent, Stars and Satellites, Mission Profile, another belting version of Pilot of the Sky of Dreams, Hollow, Lost in Translation is wonderful on here. It's a great track, but it's even better live. And Small Dark Lines, great live album. Glyn sings the Mac songs brilliantly. They just intertwine these singers. They all sing them. There's no difference. It's another great album, and I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 9.4. So, my favourite and my number one go-to Threshold live album, released in 2004, and it's recorded in Holland in 2003, and it's Critical Energy. There's also a DVD that goes with this, and that is fantastic as well. You might get that on the camera's view at some stage, I'm sure. So the band at the time was Andrew McDermott, known to us affectionately as Mac, Carl Groom, Nick Midson, Richard West, Steve Anderson and Johan James. I think this is the best lineup of the band. and it tells in this live album. Opens up with a fantastic Phenomenon, Mac on Fire, Ocean Bound. Fantastic track, I love that track. Choices, a wonderful version of Angels, Falling Away, Virtual Isolation, Innocent, Long Way From Home, Fragmentation. Then we get some sort of acoustic bit in the middle. We get Clear, Lilof, Narcissus, which is wonderful. Sunseeker, The Leighton Gene, which is my favourite track on here. It's the definitive version of that great track. Light and Space, Sunrise on Mars is belting. A belting version of Paradise and Sanity's End. This is my favourite Threshold reason, for many reasons. It's one of the best live performances that Mac did with the band. The acoustics bit in the middle is just fantastic, and watching it on the DVD is absolutely brilliant. It was a really good live package, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 at a 0.5. So there we are, some live Threshold, but we're not done with Threshold, of course, today, because we're going to review. Then the next show we are reviewing the new album, which is absolutely brilliant. I've been playing it all week because it came out exactly a week ago. I've had it on about 5 days, and I love it already. So join me for that. Bye for now.